Weird science
is the revolution.
Green Arrow number 8, written by Joshua Williamson with art by Phil Hester, Eric Gabster, Ramiro Fajardo Jr., and Troy Pateri. And in this issue, if you remember previously, we had the idea of the hunt for Roy Harper about to begin with Oliver Queen and Connor Hawke finally getting on the track. But before they could, Onomatopoeia breaks in and apparently shoots Oliver Queen to death, which leads Connor down the idea like, I gotta find Onomatopoeia and anybody he's working for to find out why my father is dead. And this is a weird thing because it's a weird situation with Onomatopoeia being here and supposedly killing Oliver Queen, because it really feels almost like Onomatopoeia's first deal during Kevin Smith's run of Green Arrow, where he comes in and shoots Connor Hawke in the head, and then Oliver Queen has to take him to the hospital. It's a whole big deal about taking out the guy that he thought almost killed his son and stuff like that. You have that along the same lines here, but it's mostly just Onomatopoeia then going back to Brick and saying and not saying anything because it's Onomatopoeia, but getting the idea that everybody that's in this book who's a bad guy is working for Amanda Waller. And it's the weird part because what are you going to say about this? Because Connor Hawke is just trying to track down Onomatopoeia and who he's working with and who he's working for, because Oliver Queen is dead. He's in the morgue. It's broadcast everywhere and stuff like that. They're like, but it doesn't mean anything in the long run because you have Onomatopoeia go back to Brick, and Brick for some reason who wants to hang out on a boat even though he's made of brick and is way too heavy to swim under his own weight.
But yeah,
and I'm like, why would you ever hang out here? That's the stupidest place for Brick to ever hang out. But ultimately, the idea is Connor Hawke is coming for their ass, and they think, oh, we got to take care of this kid or get away beforehand because we don't need this kind of heat. But it doesn't matter because Onomatopoeia this whole time has been Oliver Queen in disguise, just saying bang and shit like that to try to pass up. Like, I think I want it to be harder to be Onomatopoeia than people just, trying to be Onomatopoeia. I'm telling you, for some reason, too, I always want it to be more than him just saying, I actually want the sound effect to come out of him for how it works in my head. But it's just,
you want him to be Winslow from the Police Academy movies.
Michael Winslow, yeah, exactly. I want that. Winslow. I want him to do that shit for everything for some reason. That's how I always want to, actually, when he first showed up, that's how I actually expected to go. Like, when he shoots somebody in the head, I want to hear the gunshot come out of his mouth for some reason. Like, it's weird how I always want
Let me see. I'll try it. Bang. Does that work here?
You know what? No. You could be Onomatopoeia in disguise for all I know at this point.
Now, while we're doing this, I just want to point out the thing. You have this a lot. You have this a lot in comics where they're going to swerve. Joshua Williamson's going to swerve us. We think that Oliver's dead, right? The problem is, though, the setup is really, almost breaking the fourth wall of Connor saying, hey, everybody, and it feels weird. By the end, it feels like it's so forced in. He ends up at the beginning, man, I'm going to call Dinah, but I can't. I want to see her in No, just have him call her. Have her be there. Have her something so that we could just see it, looking in, saying, oh, my God, he must be dead because he told him. Nobody thought he was really dead. He just came back. But even so, it's really a weird play of telling you straight up, listen, everybody, he is dead. Here's why I'm not going to tell anybody and go forward with it. I'm like, it felt weird. It felt weird at the end where everything at the beginning really, like you said, doesn't matter because it's just to fool
it's all
us.
A ruse. And the worst part is if you take the twist out of this, if you don't come to the twist that we have in this issue, it's a fun issue where Connor is hunting down the man that killed his father and trying to figure out what's going on now that they're finally reunited after all that. It is a cool story putting Connor Hawke in the front and center of a Green Arrow book for the first time in a long time. And it feels really cool, especially when you get Brick involved, who's an underutilized Green Arrow villain as far as I'm concerned. But just when Oliver Queen pulls off the mask and it's been him as Onomatopoeia this whole, all along, and they actually took him out when they tried to kill him before, and now they're just everything falls apart because when you get to this point, you have to wonder, how did they know where Brick was? Because Onomatopoeia didn't fucking tell him because the boy don't talk. So then finding Brick out doesn't make any goddamn sense. And unless you go with the idea where they just pulled a freaking match book out of his thing or said Pier 17 or something.
Or they say that they were knocking heads, where I also, it doesn't make sense to me. But also in that, Brick says, hey, Onomatopoeia, because he comes and shows them the pictures. Look, hey, because he can't talk.
Oliver's dead.
And then you get Brick's like, yeah, I know. I have people in the hospital. They tell me this. Now, we don't know who that is, but is that where you end up, they finagle that? Because who's at the hospital? They say there's the dead body. Doctors were there at the hospital working, and he even got word from people that we don't know who they are. Do we know that Connor and Oliver know them? And they were able to finagle them to send? It doesn't make sense. So when you have this, why do you start with, oh my God, Onomatopoeia? And we see what is supposedly happened. Hey, look, Onomatopoeia came in and shut. Just start at the hospital where you end up having Connor like, oh my God, my dad's dead. And we can work from there. Don't have Connor tell us then when the reveal happens, he goes, "Hey, everybody, let's see what really happened." And it makes it even that much heavy-handed, though I like the issue. I like the issue. It just, the way you bookend this with
like
that, I didn't
twist.
like. Yeah, it's kind of silly. It's not clever.
Like, let's just say they take out Onomatopoeia and they just go into his freaking pockets. They pull out a match book that has, like, the Pier 17 on it where Brick is, and they just fall out. I want to see the Green Arrows doing Green Arrow shit. Pretty much what we're getting, though, is like, here's Connor Hawk, what I heard is going on, where he's knocking some head, and now he's here. But, like, I don't know, the ruse aspect of it doesn't do anything for me, because it just feels like it's almost harkening back to Onomatopoeia's first appearance, where he shot Connor Hawk in the head.
And you have that, and we talked about Renee Montoya earlier. What you're doing, you want to get to the end. He wants to get to the end, the big reveal of what's happening with Roy. But even before that, the big play is he's forcing things to happen just so Brick can yell, "Oh man, this Amanda Waller, I don't know, she's dealing with you," to then go, "Aha, I knew you were," but they knew that. I mean, the idea that Onomatopoeia is working for Amanda Waller might mean a little less to Oliver than the idea that Merlin was given time-traveling bullshit to go and fuck with them in the multiverse. I mean, that you're already going against Amanda Waller. The big play at the end is we're looking for Roy. That's cool, but I don't think that Joshua Williamson spent enough time or could figure out how to get to that point without forcing this shit so bad. But by the end, I'm excited because it looks awesome. And I love the art in this. I think it's cool, but you're playing this twisty, turny, roundabout twist.
Phil Hester art being back in this is just great too, because it's also
classic,
it goes back to Onomatopoeia's first story arc as well.
Yeah, so it's great. So he's trying to give that onomatopoeia feel that you think that doesn't really, float your boat. But the idea,
it doesn't sing it. It's just, I think about it differently.
You know what I mean?
Reason.
But having Connor say to us directly, pretty much, he's dead. Like, why are you trying to fool us? We want to be in here. You could have done it in a more clever way to try to get this, but by the end, you get the information. I like seeing Brick. I don't know why he's on a boat. And then he says, "I'm on a boat and I sink like a damn brick." Like, you should have thought that earlier, jerk.
Seriously.
But then again, like I said, the big play, Amanda Waller, we know this. And Oliver
which goes back to the Dawn of DC primer for the idea that Amanda Waller has made anybody who kills a superhero pretty much get a pardon from anything they've ever done. And this is pretty much a exact continuation from the story that came out like, a year or two ago. So it's such a weird thing that we have this as well. So it's just the idea like, hey, Brick and Onomatopoeia, they're going to try to kill a Green Arrow because Amanda Waller said it's cool.
Yeah, and so by the end, I really like the idea, oh my God, now they have to try to find out why Roy's doing it. You figure that Roy's working undercover and things, but we don't know. And
that's the big reveal, too, where he goes to talk about an idea of working for Amanda Waller. Well, Amanda Waller, we believe, has Roy, Arsenal. Where the hell is my boy at? What do you mean? She doesn't have him. He's working for it. It looks like Roy Harper. Arsenal is now part of, a pseudo-suicide squad. I keep saying the idea of a Dream Team Suicide Squad because we know the Dreamer's on that coming up. I don't know personally if Roy Harper is, but I assume, like, what we see here, that he would be a part of it.
Yeah, and all of that here, the only way I can explain this with this issue is the idea that you take a math test. You're in school, you take a math test, and what is the...
Oh, God, I didn't study.
Well, the problem is there, and the answer is 10, right? You get the answer, but you have to show, and your work makes no goddamn sense. Like, it makes no sense, but you still... So what happens then? Did you fail? Because you still got the answer at the end, but you didn't get it in any sort of way that makes sense or works.
I'll tell you this. I never like showing my work. I failed a lot.
Yeah, and so when you get to it, I'm like, I love the answer here. I love the idea that Roy, this sets up something different because I was afraid after having the search for Oliver Queen. Oh, now we're searching for Roy, and we're going to go back to that bullshit. I would have went right to Merlin and time travel shit.
But what happened with that then? Because Arsenal and, Cheshire were knocked out. I guess Arsenal woke up and said, I'm going to work for Amanda Waller for whatever reason. Did Cheshire just walk back out, get a Scarra winner, and become a Cheshire cat for the freaking Star City tie-in?
Well, that's why the Star City tie-in, I hate that happened because I would love to say that she is now held captive, and if he doesn't do this, that she'll do something about it.
I was going to see him like a Mr. and Mrs. Smith working together as like secret agents to a degree.
I assume, and I'm sure everybody else assumes, he's doing this to just not die right now and kind of go, but we'll see. We'll see how it goes.
Or maybe Amanda Waller gave him the spiel of a lifetime. He realized this is the best thing for all mankind time.
I can't tell you that she doesn't have ways to scramble his mind. And I mean, you could have crazy things. He could be like a Ronin character here, where he is just gone bad and doesn't even realize. And but you end up, some cool things. I like the look at the end. I like the art. We get to a place where I'm like, that's pretty cool. But you spend half the issue just lying to us to get to a twist to then have questions brought up of how did we really get here? Like, you just show up on a boat. Everything's fun. everything looks great, but it just didn't jive with me. But I'm ready to go forward because that looks
Me
cool.
too.
I would think at this point, after the 6-issue convoluted way to bring back Oliver, that we would have been hitting ground running. It seems like you're kind of, maybe stalled out and you're kind of getting forward now, but I'm looking forward to it. What would you give it?
I would give it a 6.8 out of 10, and I would go up to 7, but the problem is with the whole idea of what we see Connor Hawke over his dead father's body in the morgue, stuff like that, talking about what he should have done, how he should do this, like the whole idea of this lying to us,
You
to
son of a
himself, or
bitch.
whatever bit of it just really just takes it down past that 7 mark, which because I like the issue. It's just a weird way to tell the story because you need to have that twist for that wow moment for whatever reason.
It's so weird because now you ruined me. You ruined me, Eric, because I was going to actually give it a 7 and say, yeah, I could probably go higher than that, but that's the same thing that bothers me, and it's a big thing. I mean, you are just duping people to get, I don't know what feels you're going to get when we know that he just came back. It's just very odd. It's odd overall. So I'm going to go, I'll say a 6.9.
He's lying to us.
69!
6.9. I'm going to go. I can't give it a 7, but it's weird. Like I said, it's like a tug of war. I really like what we end with. I love the art. There's some fun there, but you really just lied to us to get a twist, and I don't like that. That doesn't sit well with me. I don't know about you. Well, you said it didn't, so I do know about you, but you know me.
You do.
You know me.
Weird Science
is the revolution.